No worries, that's okay too. As we go along, I want to share with you some practices that might benefit you in your life as well. So we'll start with one of them. Some of you already know this tool, and this one is our lab, Luna. Luna, please. Luna's got to make sure she's protecting us. Let's start with what I call grounding down and protection all around. Okay, so it works like this. We're just going to drop inside. Let's take a big breath. And just breathing into your day and give it to your exhale. Another big breath in and just letting go of whatever you were doing just a few minutes ago, whatever's on your mind, and allowing yourself to fully come into this space. Grounding your energy all the way down your spine, all the way down into your root, your feet, and planting yourself all the way into Mother Earth. Feeling yourself fully here, grounded, in a safe space, protected, cared about. Here, where it's safe to be fully here and seen. Ground down. And protection all around, putting protection all around your body. Grounding down. Ground down. All the way into the earth. Fully here, choosing to be here. Claiming to be here. Bring earth energy back up around your body. Feel yourself protected. One more big breath. Freeing your mind, clearing your mind to begin to ready ourselves to receive information, to open ourselves up to perhaps even other perspectives. There's one little tool I'd like to share with you as well. So ground down, protection all around is our first tool. I encourage you to use that in your life. That came to me when I was about 19, living in New York City, when New York City used to be really rough. And sometimes I'd be a little bit scared on the street. And I heard this voice inside say, ground down. Oh, you know that voice? That one that talks to you clearly, loudly, distinctly. I said, ground down. Okay. They said, put protection all around yourself. And it works. And it allowed me to walk through Harlem when they used to, people down the street would be warming themselves at the fire and all kinds of ridiculous situations in my life that I got myself into as a young person. But I hope that tool helps you. Erica, you might remember that one. Erica, I've worked with for a very long time. Lisa as well. Barbara as well. So let's get started. First thing I want to do though is ask how many of you were here with us either last week or our first webinar. This is our third one. If you pop it in the chat box and say, it's my first one or I'm here again. I'd like to get to know where you are. Yeah, let's see. Your first one, Martina and Joe. Ingretta, you're here again, okay. Is Elizabeth, you're here again? Yeah, Lisa. Okay, many of you, it's your first one. Okay, great. One of the reasons I'm asking is because there is some content that I want to share with you. Last week was really kind of the first part of that, and this is the follow-up part. How many of you know about your microbiome? This is one of our sign languages, by the way, in Cyberland. If you agree or you concur with something, if you could give us one of this, the more and more intimacy we create, the more connection we have, the happier we human beings are. So let's not let our screen stay in the way of that. Okay, Julia, up to a point. Melina, the first one to be here. Okay. Okay. So for those of you who were here last time, could you share a little bit with everybody in the chat box. What did you learn on these webinars so far? Just pop something in the chat box just to help everybody to feel connected and to give them some insight into what we've done. And what I'm going to do is catch you up a little bit on the microbiome. So our microbiome is our flora that is covering us from head to toe. It's concentrated in our mouth, our nose, in our genital tract, and in our gut. Now here, this webinar, of course, is called Gut Instinct. And a lot of our work is about getting connected to that microbiota, or healthy flora in our gut, in response to our brain connection, so that our pineal, pituitary gland, our hypothalamus gland works better, which is our intuition. What if our ability to perceive, to sense, to feel, to intuit, to be tuned in is dependent on our gut health? What do you think? Does that sound plausible? Does that sound like, yeah? Yeah. Let's break it down a little bit more and let's understand it. Okay, Martina, you got that too, yeah. Okay, great. I'm going to share with you a lesson from our Go Vegan program. So personally, I've been vegan for 27 years. I've been teaching plant-based veganism for 20 years, but my original gift was really, when I was 23, was an intuitive one. When I would begin to touch someone, I realized that I could feel what someone else feels. I could, oddly enough, hear things about their health. Does anybody else have any kind of those experiences where you see, hear, sense, feel others? Yeah, all of us do. Yeah. So in my own development, what came down to really developing myself kind of intuitively, eventually becoming a naturopath, I got into the technical understanding of it. And that brings us back around to gut health. Teaching for the past 10 years, I've had a retreat business in Bali, which Lisa has been on many times. And Lisa's actually a teacher of my work and is a coach herself now. And it's been fascinating to me to realize how connected we all are through our microbiome. And my dream has been to have the time and space to sit and write all of my work into what I call Go Vegan. So I want to share with you one of our lessons here. And we're going to go a little bit deeper. Okay, now this is a bit scientific, but stick with it, okay? I'm going to put it into easy to understand terms as well. Let's get into this though and understand our microbiome. Okay, microbiome is also, in one sense, our gut-brain connection. So what does this mean, gut-brain connection and microbiome and microbiota? So in our last lesson, in part 1, we learned about microbiome, which if we could see it with the naked eye, what we would see is really flora all over our skin, in our mouth, our nose, and again, in our gut and in our genital tract. We don't see it. So these poor viruses, it's made up of viruses. It's made up of pathogens. It's made up of flora. So what we've done is we've damned nature with this whole virus thing. And in my opinion, been duped because we don't understand our microbiome, and specifically those areas we talked about, mouth, nose, genital tract, gut, our microbiota. Okay, so let's go down here. You see my cursor down in the bottom right corner. We're going to start with the microbiota. And remember, it's a symbiotic, ecological, pathnogenic microorganisms. That's what it's made up of. Viruses, pathogens. And it's the basis of our immunity and of our health. See here, it's all living in our gut. Now next, we go to our enteric nervous system. You may have heard of the second brain. Our second brain can operate independently from the brain in our head, and it largely communicates through this biofeedback system right here called our vagus nerve. Now, our vagus nerve, you may have know it as the well-being nerve. It's quite sensitive. It is responsible for our well-being, helping with digestion, food, speech. It's really helping us to get into fear management, relaxation. And the way it does that is by communicating the messages of our microbiota health. This microbiota health, when it's healthy and it's flourishing, we feel happy with simplicity. We are alive. We are just content with life. We're healthy the way we're designed. And this vagus nerve here with the enteric nervous system is communicating these messages up into our brain. In our brain, this information, the condition of our microbiota, of our organ health, gets into our neurotransmitters and activates them. Those neurotransmitters, which are chemical hormones or messengers, are triggering serotonin, dopamine, and other messengers. That serotonin and that dopamine you may already be familiar with. It's saying, ooh, that feels good. I like that. If it's given a healthy response from our gut microbiota. Now, serotonin and dopamine are also responsible for that response that says, ooh, I like that a lot. I want more, around sexuality, specifically, food, the reward punishment system. So one of the reasons why we get addicted to unhealthy foods, it's like, why am I doing that? I don't want that. Or that guy you don't really like, or that girl you don't really like. We get addicted to it because this microbiota, this flora here actually goes unfriendly. That message gets communicated up into our brain. Dopamine and serotonin get triggered, they get robbed, they turn unfriendly. And this is really the basis of addiction as well. Now remember, this is a self-informing feedback system, this vagus nerve. It's very much alive. It's really connected into all of our intestines, organs, our spine even, our cranial nerves. And it's saying, hey, these messages from our gut, something's off here. How do we experience that? Just in plain simple terms, we experience that as either, I love that salad. Oh, I love being in the sunshine. I love doing healthy, good things for myself, breathing, exercising. Or we might experience it as fear, as not feeling well. Let's understand it a little bit more. I'm going over here to this blue box. Healthy microbiota equals feel-good transmitters and hormones activated. Unhealthy microbiota equals inhibited transmitters and hormones. They get inhibited, they get shut down, really, not activated properly. The way we experience that is through aches, pains, mental health issues, depression, autism, cancer, low immunity, even digestive issues, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, obesity, Crohn's, it goes on and on, ulcerative colitis, and so much more. What happens? How was it that we were born as these perfect little babies and everything seems to go awry later on? Well, these disruptions are caused, number one, by stress, antibiotics, environmental pollutants, poor diet and lifestyle habits. So in essence, this is why eating a plant-based diet is so important. And one of the very simple things we can do that nobody else has control over is to manage what we put in our mouth, the thoughts we think. Because if it was only diet-based, then a lot of the people that I see who are vegans or eating plant-based would be flourishing. But why aren't they? Well, because we're not just biochemical creatures. We are emotional. We are perhaps even spiritual. Could it all come back to this microbiota and the basis of it being how we live, how we eat, how we think? In my opinion, working with thousands of people over the years, through teaching large groups, through countless session work with one-on-one, this is what I see in my practice all the time, is that this gut microbiota gets thrown off through these factors, and we are depressed. We are not happy people. Some people, even if you looked at their gut microbiota, people who are suicidal or have committed suicide, you'd see this probably thrown off completely. So why? What's going on with us humans? Well, let's talk a little bit about food. Okay, so what are some of the foods that kill our microbiota or that build it? You might remember this book called Food That Heals and Food That Kills. Now that's a good resource for you. So some of the foods that will kill our microbiota is, of course, prescription drugs, alcohol, recreational drugs. Like I'm talking like the heavy ones. I'm not talking about the odd joint or something. I'm talking about, you know, people who are heavily addicted to chemical drugs, who overuse drugs, even mild ones, the overuse of that. Coca-Cola, you know, meat, dairy, sugar, caffeine. Caffeine's very hard on our microbiota. So even if, you know, you don't have a big challenge, but caffeine is one of those things still hounding you, I would encourage you to think about what it may be doing in your belly. Now, what are some of the foods that build our microbiota? Yeah, greens, really good, healthy fats. Come back to our lesson. One of our lessons in Go Vegan is about macronutrients and micronutrients. What are macronutrients? Fat, protein, carbs. What are micronutrients? Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. So what we're looking at here is a plant-based micronutrient diet that helps build our microbiota. That helps our brain to work better. Now, you know what we're coming around to with all of this, right? What we're coming around to is getting switched on intuitively. For me personally, all of the nutrition talk would be extraordinarily boring if it wasn't for the superpowers that it activates within us. Are you capable of that? Well, yes, of course you are. You have a pineal and pituitary gland sitting in the center of your head, otherwise known as the third eye. In those of you in Greta and Lisa and Erica, those of you who were here last week, we did a meditation. We were activating our third eye, which perhaps we can come back around to for everyone who's new. And essentially, what we want to do is come back into a plant-based diet to help build our microbiota and begin to wean off all the things that kill it. And that's not just food. That could be a person, that could be a place, that could be a thing, that could be a relationship, that could be somebody we love. Yes, because remember, stress is very hard on our microbiota. Now, how will you know if you have challenges with your microbiota? Because your belly will probably bloat out. If you have like perma bloat and your skin's going crazy, your emotions are like this, you're feeling unstable, it's going to be very challenging to be guided in life by our superpowers to access them. And looks like, oh yes, looks like we're all women here. My favorite. I'm thinking of turning this work all into women's work. I love women. I adore who we are as women. And I'm seriously thinking about turning it all into a women's community. So for us as women, if we don't feel beautiful, if we don't feel in our body healthy, if our belly's all bloated out, we just don't feel that great about ourselves. You ladies know exactly what I mean. Yeah, and hormonally, this is where it's at for us as well, no matter what stage of life that you're at as a woman, whether you are still menstruating, you're perimenopause, you are menopausal. One of the most important things we need to do as women is to rebuild our gut health. Yeah. So if it seems like a big leap to think about going vegan, I want to introduce maybe an easier way, and that's plant-based. Okay, is plant-based and vegan the same thing? Is it the same thing? No, it's not the same thing. What's the difference? Can you pop it in the chat box for me? What's the difference? Yeah, let's draw on some of the knowledge that we've learned for the ladies who've already been here. Okay, I don't see anything really coming in here. So plant-based means that, yes, plant-based means that we may not be all vegan. We may just be cutting down our animal intake. So some plant-based people are still eating some meat, some dairy, but they drastically reduced it. They're not eating it every day. Maybe they're eating it once or twice a week. And this is an excellent place to start. If you were to go all vegan, then of course you wouldn't be having any of that in your diet. And you probably wouldn't be having like a leather pillow or leather clothes. And for a lot of people, that seems like a big leap. So I encourage you to start with the plant-based. That's an excellent place to start. One other thing I want to encourage you to do is to eat a salad every day. Make sure you get a big bowl of greens in you every single day with a good, healthy type of fat. Say your nice virgin coconut oil, your olive oil, your flaxseed oil. And because the flax oil, the good healthy oils are good for your brain functioning. And remember, what we're doing is we're prepping our systems, especially as women. I believe we're the leaders of the world coming up. I think the world needs women more than anything. I mean, how about you? Do you believe that women are the answer to the world's problems? Yeah, of course we are. Yes, that's why we're all women here. That's right, Jessica, yes. You know, it's all women here for a reason. We feel, we sense, we perceive, we intuit, we care, we nurture. But one thing we tend not to do so much is nourish ourselves so we can nourish others. So what we're looking at here is really bringing all that self-care back into ourselves. And that's what our Go Vegan program does. I'm not teaching live all the time like I used to when Lisa and Erica where I was working live with them. But now I have the Go Vegan program that can help you to really tap into that. So at this point, what I'd love to do is I would love to hear if you have some questions. We'll take a few questions and let's go a little bit deeper into understanding some of the science, like what's going on with you a bit. If you have a question about your gut health, food, that sort of thing, pop it in the chat box. And nothing's off limits here, especially because we're women, we can just completely talk freely. And from there, what we will do is we're going to dive in a little bit deeper intuitively, and we're going to do some group readings. So one other thing I want to say is go ahead and pop it in the chat box if you have a question. One other thing I want to mention here is when we get into questions like this or opening up and speaking, I know it can be tender. The group readings can be quite tender. It can be very sensitive. So just know that that's honored and it's held. And as an intuitive, I will always ask your permission. And I'm very sensitive to anything very personal. So just know that you're safe here to ask. And we're all ladies here. We know what it is to be in this female body. Yeah. All right, Jessica says, is Go Vegan more about giving us options to go up to vegan, but understanding many of us might stay at a plant-based stage? Great question, Jessica. Well, it is geared towards vegan, yet I understand where you're at and most people. So I'm always providing you with insights, ideas, tips, tools, science that appeal hopefully to a person at any stage of where you're at. You know, I've been teaching a long time. I've been doing this a long time. In my early years, I was way more hardcore. Even Lisa and Erica back in our days, way more hardcore. I've relaxed a lot around it, especially being with my husband who's not vegan. He's now plant-based. But as our men, a lot of them, they want their thing, right? And we as women, we want to help provide that. So Jessica and everyone know in our Go Vegan work, it's about nurturing, holding the emotional understanding, and then talking to it technically in stages so that we can adapt and we can adhere to what's doable. The information is of no use if it is at all too far away. Yeah, so through empathy and understanding and science, I attempt to meet you there, Jessica. I hope that answers your question. And Martina says, when you're having gut problems, what would you recommend that you do? Well, Martina, the very first thing I recommend you do is to come off all animal products if you're seriously wanting to improve your gut health, and to come off sugar, caffeine, and really focus on what you can do to rebuild your gut. I would also encourage you to take some good probiotics. Okay, who remembers from one of our lessons what type of probiotics? Lisa, can you pop that in the chat box? What's a good probiotic that we would recommend? Does anybody remember that? Yeah. Okay. So for probiotics, I want to encourage you to get one with these living cultures in them. It's L. salvaris and L. plantarium. Now, these are some of the strands that we get from our mother's milk. If you weren't breastfed, if you weren't vaginally birthed, you may have missed out on, you likely very much missed out on some of the basic microbiota, microbiome that keeps us healthy. Okay, so encourage you to start replenishing that by not killing off what we do have with all the meat, dairy, sugar, and all that stuff. Start replenishing it with your probiotics and your greens, your plant-based diet. Now that would be incomplete. That would be incomplete, Martina, if we didn't talk about stress, because stress is really, really hard on our gut health. So it's an emotional change we're looking at as well. So, looking at your emotions. So Pallavi, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, Pallavi, she says, will improving gut health also improve hormonal health? Oh, like by far. Okay, by far. One of the most important things we can do as women through all of the different stages of hormonal health that we will go through is to really focus on your gut health. And the younger you start, the more it's going to benefit you as you grow older. Another thing that you could do to improve your gut health is to consider fasting. But remember, you could do it fast, but if you go back to the chocolate, the sugar, the caffeine, the heavy food, meat, dairy, alcohol, drugs, and all of that stuff, we'll just go back to killing it. So I encourage you to work up from plant-based to eating more vegan, to eating more salad, living food, to fasting. Incorporate de-stressing, letting go of all the things in your life that are just gnawing at your gut, literally. I'll ask you, what is that? What is that for you in particular? And see if you begin to wean off of it, because some of those things are really addictive, especially if he's really cute. Or you just kind of like, we have these chemical reactions to some men. Was like, God, what am I doing? But the more I learn about myself, working with women, especially people, is there's an addictive quality to all that stuff. And we're facing a little girl inside who just really wants love. And the more we can get that, the more we can get that need met, the less addictive we are probably going to be with food. Anybody addictive with food and getting our needs met, trying to get them met with food or through our sexuality, rather than like, okay, I need to change my life. Yeah, I need to change my gut health. I need to let go of like a person, a work situation, a place, a thing, in order to thrive. Because remember, in my opinion anyway, we are what this world needs. That's women. We are. Why? Because you're empathic. Why? Because you sense, because you care, because you love. Do men have those qualities as well? Yes. But as a woman, we are probably going to act on it forthrightly. It's in our genes. It's who we are. Okay, Joe says, do you recommend any supplements on a vegan diet? No, not really. Other than probiotics, what I recommend is cleaning out your colon, cleaning your blood. Think about this, blood and bowel cleansing. Okay, clean out your bowel, clean your blood, your nutrition will absorb way better, especially if you're eating like 80% living food and you lessen your cooked food, you properly food combine, and your body's going to absorb nutrition way better. In my opinion, if you need to be supplementing with a lot of nutritional supplements, you know, why? You know, that's not the point. The point is to increase your absorption, because your blood, your bowels, your tissue can soak up nutrition. And that happens through clean blood and clean bowels. Okay, Erica says, I breastfed for 3.5 years and now getting back to caring for me fully. Yeah, good for you. Good for you, Erica. Way to take your body and yourself back. Yeah. Okay, and Martina says, I've been vegan for a while now already and consider myself quite healthy, but currently having an issue that provoked acne, flare, and low mood. Okay, if you've been vegan for a while, anybody else been vegan, plant-based for a while? Yeah. Okay, if that is your issue, but you're having a little bit of difficulty with it, often what that means is that you need to get into fasting now. When you come off of an animal-based diet, even going plant-based will be very cleansing for you for a while, but not for a long while, probably. Your body wants to continue just in its natural organic state. It wants to continue to cleanse. That microbiota wants to rebuild itself. And in my experience is that the lighter you go in staying properly nourished with regular fasting, your gut will be able to rebuild its flora and your acne will clear up, Martina. Yeah, that's kind of the, I don't want to say mistake, but that's one of the errors usually that we're looking at with vegans, is that we didn't get into fasting yet. Okay, and also, you know, really decreasing our stress levels. Let's take a couple more questions, and then we're going to start to get into more our intuitive work. Julia says, our L. Salvaris and L. Plantarium, the probiotics that I mentioned, the strands you want to look for on the label, are they in certain foods or only supplements? Well, they're from mother's milk, Julia. So my first question would be, were you breastfed for the first year of your life? Were you breastfed long enough? Were you vaginally birthed? You might not have gotten that. So they're not necessarily in foods per se, okay? Sometimes you might find some of these strands you will find in fermented foods. I personally am not a big fan of fermented foods. They're all the rage in the plant-based world. But the problem with that is saying that they're a blanket statement like they're good for everybody. They're not necessarily, okay? Because it can be high in histamines, which can give you a reaction. So acne, like Martina, if you're having issues with acne, you're eating a lot of fermented foods, wheat, corn, sugar, caffeine. That also can make your skin go crazy. Okay, I'm gonna take one more question here from Marla. As you've been vegan for 10 years and even on raw food for 6 months, my skin still gets outbreaks. Could it be a hormonal imbalance? It could, but have you done any fasting yet, Marla? You know, clean your bowels out. Clean your bowels out. Okay. So lastly, how long would you suggest you fast for? Because I did 2 days that ended yesterday. That's a great start. That's a great start. But here, let's learn one more tool. Okay, let's learn one more tool, and then we're going to segue into our intuitive work. What I encourage you to do is to drop back down into your belly. Put your brain down in your belly. Now listen to your belly. Just feel it. Does it feel full, empty, bloated, hard, soft? Does it feel turbulent? Does it feel hungry? Keep dropping down, drop your brain down into your belly. Really listen to your belly, listen to it. Hear it. Hear it through feeling. This tool is brain in your belly. Okay, that's what I call that. And I want to encourage you to always be putting your brain down in your belly and listen. Technically, what's happening here is your vagus nerve is communicating into your brain and sending you a biofeedback message through your vagus nerve. And you experience that as like, belly doesn't feel too good, I feel bloated, or oh, it feels nice and light in there. The more you can listen to your belly, listen to your body, the more empowered you're going to be. So remember, your body never lies. Never. Your brain, my brain, it's programmed. It lies. That doesn't make us bad people. It just means that we're conditioned people. Okay, nothing personal. Nothing personal. That's no value judgment whatsoever. It's just what our present state of evolution of where we're at. But if you can drop your brain down into your belly, or therefore into any part of your body, you can begin to listen to it, because remember, your vagus nerve is communicating from your gut to your brain in a split second, constantly, nonstop. But what happens with us humans is that we doubt ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. We don't listen always. And that's typically, since we're all ladies here, because there's some deep emotional need that's not met. And instead, I don't care. I'm going to eat that ice cream anyway. I don't care. I'm going to have sex with that guy anyway. Okay. Yeah. So instead, what we're looking at doing is listen, breathe with it, feel into it, hear it. It gets stronger. When you act on it, it gets stronger. And the beauty of this is our self-trust builds. The beauty of this is that when we can trust ourselves and we can trust the information of our belly and our body, you know, anyone could come along and say to me, Amy, you shouldn't eat that or you shouldn't do that. I'd be like, yeah, right. Let me listen to my body. I listen and I just do what it tells me most of the time. Not all the time. But if I don't, I know it's because I'm probably agitated or I'm feeling depressed or lonely or, you know, I'm pulling on Anthony. You know, a good man won't let us do it either. He puts us back into our place without making us small. You know? So I come back into myself and I just keep listening some more. It keeps informing me more and more and more. Trust and confidence builds. What's the number one thing we struggle with as women? Confidence. Yes. And believe me, as younger women, if we can get this when we're younger, it only gets more challenging as you get older because your skin's changing, you know? My boobs are changing, my butt's changing. You know, what's happening? It's like all filling out. You know? My friends in Bali, they say, you know, on our retreats there, the past year, we've been going into menopause. And they say to me, like, Amy, you know, their English isn't perfect, you know? They just like textbook English. You look at that. And I don't mean like one time. I mean like 15 times, you know? You look at that. It's always the same words. You look at that. Like, yeah, I know. You know? I'm just thankful that, you know, I started early on this path and in my 20s, and even though it still stings and my ego doesn't like it, I can breathe. I have some tools to work with, and I can love myself anyway. That's all right. It's fun to have some boobs anyway, finally. So know that these are some of the things that we cover in Go Vegan. It's not just about veganism. It's about the whole last week of it is very much about empowerment. And it's about these type of topics. It would be just, again, so boring for me if we just talked about this type of stuff. I'm interested in what the plant-based vegan fasting world does for us as women, as thought leaders of the world, because where we are properly nourished with nutrition, then we can nurture healthfully, especially if our mind is stable and balanced and we put ourselves first. Oh, one more little tool for you here. It's very simple, very, very simple. Okay, me first. If you read my newsletters, you may have gotten that one a couple of weeks ago. Me first. I see a few blank faces like, what do you mean, Amy? What, me first? Just encourage to say it to yourself often. Me first. Because you and I, we are nurturers. We want to give. Who wants to give here? Who's giving all the time? Oh yeah, every single one. Oh, come on, Erica. I know you are too. Lisa, I know you are too. We all are, Barbara. I know you are too. Okay, that's what we do. That's what our DNA is designed for. And that goes super well as long as me first. But if me is not first, then I'm looking to get my love. I catch myself constantly. Like, okay, I'll do this for you. I'll make this for you. I like to do that with food in the kitchen. What can I do for you? And I had to really remind myself, Amy, if you put yourself first, is that still your answer? Or are you doing that because my little inner child, my little girl inside is desperate for someone to love me? Just to be very honest. So I just want to encourage you to repeat that to yourself often. It's a practice. Me first. Me first. And if that feels strange or unfamiliar, just try it. Yeah. Okay. Are you guys ready to go a little bit deeper? Should we go into our intuitive work? Are you ready? Or do you want to talk more science stuff? What do you want to do? Tell me. Pop it in the chat box. Say to me, let's have more girl talk. Let's have more science stuff, food stuff, or let's go deeper with intuition. Tell me what you want to do. You pop it in the chat box. Because this is for you. And yes, me first, but this is for you. I want to know how I can best serve you. Oh, let's go deeper, says Ingrid. Intuition, says Barbara. Okay. Okay, let's do that then. Okay, so let's use a little bit of our tools. We're going to go a little short meditation just to get ourselves in that space. And the way it's going to work is like this, is if you would like to be read, pop it in the chat box. And Amina is with us. And Amina, you see she's our Go Vegan team. She's our tech support there. And Amina is going to let me know in the chat box who is wanting to go into that space. Now, in that space, it's a sacred space. It's a very much respect, again, your privacy. And know that I'm going to always ask you. I'm not going to expose you or reveal you. Okay, but one of the reasons I love to do this is because I want to help give you an example of what intuition and nutrition means, and in how this work in Go Vegan can help you to spawn what I know you already do, because you're a woman. That's what we do. Okay. Okay, Barbara, we'll start with you then. Barbara, we haven't seen you in a while. Barbara was on our sessions last year. We did something like this last year. And Barbara says, I miss your intuition and energy. I'd love a reading, but I have to get off at 2. Okay, well, we'll start with you, okay? So let's jump into our gut. Jump down into your belly. Big breath here. Into your belly and out from your belly. Big breath into your belly. Out from it. Dropping down a little bit more. Ground down into your belly. Ground. And with your exhale, protection all around. We ask for guidance on this journey. We ask our higher forces to be here with us. There's so much thanks we give to bring in the information to most benefit everyone here today. Okay, Barbara, let's begin. Okay. Hi, love. I'm going. Oh, there you are. Wow. Okay. Can I scan your system a bit, Barbara? You look like a completely different person. So you've obviously been in a deep state of regeneration. Okay. So what you've been doing to regenerate yourself is really showing up physically now. And this is a great example for everybody here. Part of what we do here is we take what's going on with one person and we relate it to everybody. So now there's a message for everyone here. Now, Barbara, your work inwardly is beginning to show up more and more in your body. The core emotional thing that I know is very challenging from the past is that still that deep emotional connection. And that may be in your relationship. Yeah. So I want to encourage you to use the regenerative, like torquing or up leveling that your self focus has given you, because what it feels like is that you have created more autonomy, and that autonomy and getting back in your sense of self and who you are is strengthening you, and it's actually empowering you and asking you to from what we read here, to face that festering thorn in your side. And I know it's very, very challenging for you, but you have the power to do that with now. Yeah. I know it hurts, but feels like there's a part of you that you know what you need to do right now. Yeah. And encourage you to trust what this feels like in your system, so you don't have to prolong the hurt. Oh, I'm sorry, love. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so can you take a breath? Take a breath here. And everybody take a breath. Yeah, what Barbara's showing us is how tender it is to let go of toxicity in our life, especially emotional toxicity, especially with men. So thank you, Barbara, for showing us how tender this is. It's really difficult for all of us to do this, and your courage to be seen here gives all of us courage to face it. How does that feel, love? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see if we can, Amina, can we take her mute off? Is that possible? Yeah. Let's see, can we hear you now, Barbara?
You're spot on. Yeah, spot on. It's pretty scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little baby steps. Doesn't have to be all at once.
That's right. That's right. When you said that, I got a picture of before, like last year when we were doing this work last year. You know, it could have felt like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Well, but now what it feels like is you've taken more steps forward than back, and you are regenerating. What it feels like is it's very important to focus on what you are doing and what you can do right now, and know that it's showing up. I haven't seen you in 8 months or something. It's showing up in your system very strongly. It's working out, and it's beautifying you. It's beautifying you. The challenge is to, I see, is to face that deep core place inside where little Barbara lives, so that she knows through her autonomy she'll be safe, and most importantly, loved, potentially in a whole new different way. One last thing here, and forgive the kind of fierceness of this. but it brings about a very protective mother energy towards you as well, where I want to remind you that you do not deserve to be put down. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve to be belittled or harmed in any way. I just want to remind you of that. Encourage you to keep coming and be held here in this beautiful feminine energy here. And encourage you to stay in tune with your gut, Barbara. Your gut knows. You know the truth. Bless. Bless.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
good to be here with you.
Yeah, so good to see you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I know we're here every Thursday. Yeah, get this support system going strong here again. Yeah, much love. Let's take a big breath, everybody. Let's take a big breath. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Let's see. We are going to go to Barbara. Can I just stay with your ground down and protection all around? Keep yourself in safety, okay? Keep yourself in safety. Pallavi, where are you, Pallavi? Hi. Okay. There you go. Yeah, great. Okay. Just one little second here. Okay, Pallavi, let's go a little bit deeper. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay. Get my screen there. Okay. Thank you for the courage to be seen.
Thank you.
Can I scan your system a bit? Would that be okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. You know, there's a very interesting kind of dichotomy. There are two forces going on here, Pallavi, at once, is what it feels like. It feels like you're both growing very quickly, moving ahead, new opportunities, new things coming into your life, inspiration, forward movement. And what that other kind of opposing force, or force that could be working with you with a different perspective, is letting go of and facing where you have protected yourself. Okay, so if you find yourself in life becoming defensive, or you know the expression English, on your high horse?
No, actually,
Okay.
I don't know.
It's a funny, I'm from the deep south. You know, down the deep south, we say, we be on our high horse. And what that means is that if you're on a high horse, we're looking down at others.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So encourage you to keep coming into this beautiful growth that's happening inside of you, that's attracting new opportunities, that puts you on an equal ground of equality. There's a lot of equality here, and it asks to let go of the potential of needing to be more than, and to know how much you already are. I encourage you to keep in your meditation and regenerating inside.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
these opportunities that are coming to you in your life are a result of your regeneration, but they are cultured and cultivated by your inner growth. And the temptation here could be to externalize it and to either become defensive, better than, but those are all worth and value issues. And essentially what it's saying, what it's asking is, can you keep getting your worth from inside instead of outside?
Yes, I've been facing that issue actually.
Okay.
Yes, and actually, I feel I won't get my due if I'm not defensive, or if I'm not like establishing authority. I feel I won't get my due.
Right.
Yeah, so then I become very defensive. Sometimes I, like just to show that okay, I'm worth it, and I
Yeah.
deserve all the things that I worked hard for. So
Yes, and encourage you to work from that place. And that's for everybody here, remember. That's a message for everyone. We don't need to work so hard out here, but may we keep regenerating inside and be connected to our gut instinct, our gut intuition, because your authority comes from the space that you hold
okay,
rather than making a big mark.
yeah, yes, I'll try to work towards that.
God bless.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank you. Mhm. So just want to interweave those messages in for everyone, because we're not just kind of dissipating our energy now and kind of going off into our own worlds. If we keep in the collective whole here, then you might see that both Barbara and Kalava, do they have messages for you? Was there a message for you inside of both of their experience? So I encourage you to reflect on that a bit. Yeah, because what happens with us ladies, of course, is that, let's say if we're feeling kind of like Barbara's situation, where it's usually with men for us a lot, our emotional connection, our sexuality. If that need is not fulfilled, what do? We turn to food or substance, you know? Or let's say in Pallavi's situation, she wants to establish herself as an authority in what she does and to be respected for what she does. But how she does that is very important. If it's not from deep within her own regeneration, she could become, badass kicking ass and end up lonely when you're 65. There's a different state of authority here. But if we come back to our food as medicine and working from our gut, our empowerment comes from within. Yes, I hope everybody extracts your message out of that. Now we're going to go over just by a few more minutes. But Ingrid, I really want to come to you now. So let's we'll take you off mute here. Ingrid,
Hello.
hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Can I scan your system a bit? Would that be okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what it feels like is you've been having a frustrating time, and I hear this expression again. It says like at your wit's end. We had somebody like that last week. At your wit's end, kind of like, what am I to do now? Okay, and Ingrata, if you're having any really dark thoughts as well, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and coming towards a safe place where you can be supported, especially with these ladies, because what it feels like is there's such an incredibly sweet soul inside of you, so tender, so artistic and creative, and that little one never got acknowledged. Okay, what it feels like is she didn't get seen for who she is. And so what it feels like in your life is it's set up this kind of tape of feeling invisible, or as if you don't really matter, or you're not important. Is that true? Yeah. So, love, it's not that you're incredibly shy. It's not that. Yeah, I know. It's not that you're incredibly shy. It's just so important for you to know your own worth. It's a different, like Pallavi, it's a different take on it in a way. And just because you didn't get it as a child and you weren't reinforced for a very magical pixie, you're otherworldly. You're tuned into the other world. And that's one of the reasons why you like this type of work. Who else feels you're otherworldly? Anybody else otherworldly here? Do you know what I mean by that? Yes. What that means is that we are naturally tuning into sensing, feeling, hearing in a different way. No one could acknowledge you for that in Greta because they didn't necessarily get acknowledged themselves. So bless that you have not listened to those dark thoughts and that you have come to a place where you can get seen for that. Some inner child, what I recommend for you, some inner child work, and to little Ingretta really getting nourished. And your body wants to strengthen, okay? What it feels like is your body wants to get stronger. And you could do all the physical stuff you wanted for that, but you know instinctively, your gut is already telling you that that's not 100% the way. So I encourage you to work on your nutrition, work on your greens and your fats, work on building yourself from within, and your body will follow.
Yeah, trying to do that. Trying.
Yeah, good work. Good for you. And one last thing here is it feels like there's a stripping away, a peeling away that wants to happen with some relationships or some circumstances in your life. And know that by letting go of some of those things that reinforce not seeing you, not feeling you, not hearing you, or like two ships passing in the night, like we don't get each other. Like if you're feeling like no one gets you, it feels like it's time to make some space for people who do get you. Yeah, so that's why these sort of things are real important for you. So thank you for coming forward and for sharing. That's a huge step for you. That's huge for you. I want to really acknowledge you.
Thank you for having me here. Really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. How does that feel in your body?
Feels good.
Yeah, I encourage you to get used to being seen. Yeah, thank you. May you receive. Thank you. So one of the primary things that Greta is showing us, and this is for everyone, I want to encourage everybody's homework this week. Receive. Receive. Yes. Erica just drops her head right back. Yes, me first and receive. So by allowing ourselves to receive energetically, let's say someone opens the door for you. Go through that door. Someone smiles at you. Receive that smile. Someone sees you, Ingretta. Someone sees you. Oh, yes, thank you. We as women, we've been very busy defending ourselves. Yes, naturally. But what happens if you receive? What that receptivity does for us is it allows good nutrition to come in as well. The key to good nutrition, remember, isn't just about eating good food. It's about your body being able to absorb it and to use it. And by emotionally receiving, cleaning your body as we've been talking about, and your food as medicine, your system can uptake strength, mineralization, vitamins, minerals, which empowers your hormones, your neurotransmitters, your gut health. So, very simply put, question for all of you is this: what can I do to receive this week? That's your homework if you so choose. And come back next week and tell us about how you're receiving. Yes, Erica, I can see that touches a deep place for you. I feel you. Is it time for you to allow yourself to be given to? We're so busy putting so much energy out, working so hard, that we forget to receive. So every opportunity this week, may you receive. And then please come back and share next week. Tell your friends about this session. If you'd like to leave us something in the chat box about how this work has been for you, we'd love to hear that as well. And know that Go Vegan is a great resource of an option for you to build yourself, not only with your nutrition, but with your intuition, who you are as a person, who you are as a woman. Yeah. What if we take these lessons on value and of worth that these ladies gave us in the last part of our session, and we receive our worth. Let's take a big breath together. Receiving your worth all the way down in your toes, grounding your worth into every fiber and cell in your body, in your soul. Opening yourself to be seen, loved, held, cared for, nutritionally, and in nourishment emotionally. If I can be of any help to any of you, please feel free to write me. Feel free to reach out at any time. Lots of love, beauties. Bye.